What number means the truth?
What number?
Yeah, science. What number do you use to mean truth exactly 100%? Like, what's the true number?
That makes no sense.
Exactly. So stop using math for proofs or science because you don't even know.
Stop using math. Stop using math, Arwijn.
What?
Well, for God, math is God is
God
science.
needs to stop using math.
Things. Right. If math proves things, I
Not you,
starve.
Arwijn. Not you, Arwijn. God needs to stop.
Yeah, God's their math. God is the Glober's math. If it's the proof, if your proof is God and their proof is math, math is their God. Sorry. And if science is proven by their God, which is math is their God. So numbers, ones and O's are their God.
Holy shit.
I just want to know.
I would not agree with that. I'd say that math is their scripture, not their God, right?
Nah, you're wrong. You're 100% wrong. Math is their God. They pray to numbers, evolution of numbers, ones and zeros and nines, and that's the answer to everything. 0 through 9 is your answer.
No, they use the numbers. They use the math.
No, I don't.
As biblical people use the Bible scriptures. So they don't think that the scriptures themselves are God. They think they're
true. They think they're proof. Proof is math to one group, and proof is words and hope to another. So there you go. You got hope math and hope words. Good deal.
Is the earth flat?
Sounds equivalent to me.
Is the earth flat?
Yeah.
All right. If the earth is flat, prove it.
Amazing.
Go ahead. Prove it.
Water level, no curvature.
Big globe.
Big globe. Yeah, but it can't be though. I mean, then
how
you're
come
not
water's not level when
heliocentrist.
it's in a 0G situation? How come it forms a round ball?
Big globe.
There is no 0G situation.
What are you talking in the vomit comet? Like when they have water in the vomit comet, how come water doesn't go level?
Because it's falling like a droplet.
Well, I thought water is always level. So when there's force exerted.
Dude, are you serious?
Water at rest finds level.
You got nothing better to do.
Falling. When it's falling in a vomit comet, it's not going to find rest because it's falling.
So
this is like 2015 shit, bro. Come on.
Yeah, but that's what they do. That's what they do.
It's not RDD then?
So you're saying that water's shape is determined by forces acting on it, right? And because it's falling, it adheres to a certain shape?
No.
No one said that. You're just making up some like
not at rest.
Like, explain it to me. If water is always level.
No, that's not what I said. Water at rest finds its level.
So what does it mean to be at rest? No force is acting on it?
No, it's not moving. Moving vertically.
In order for it to move, there has to be some kind of force acting on it, right?
I do not know what at rest means. Like, why would you even ask that?
Well, because at rest to me means no force acting on it, right?
It just means not moving. No, not right. It means not moving.
Well, if water is moving, there must be a force acting on it, right? There must be something that is making it move.
So what, dude? We ain't talking about when it's moving. We're talking about when it's not moving.
It's equilibrium force. I mean, yeah.
I just want to know if you agree.
Are you going to talk over me now that I'm going to actually rebut it?
No, because I think Jeremy asked me a question, and I was going to respond.
I didn't ask you nothing. Hold on, Arwijn. I didn't ask you nothing. I'm just saying you're talking about something that we're not talking about. So go ahead.
No, Arwijn said proof of flat Earth is that water is always level. So that's where.
And then you started talking about when it's moving, and then you said at rest. And then you started talking about when it's moving.
Well, the question is...
No. We're talking about when it's at rest. And you're like, but when it's moving, there's forces on it. And we're like, no. But when it's at rest, it's level.
So, but the question is it at rest or is there some sort of force acting on it?
It's at rest.
Is there, like it changes its shape when there's a tidal force acting on it, right?
But not gravity.
Well, guess what? It's not at rest then.
Okay, well, we agree then that if a force is acting on water, it's not always level, right?
Wrong.
Yes or no?
It's moving. You mean when it's moving, the thing we're not talking about?
Well, so it seems like you're saying that water can move, but that it's not moving because there's a force acting on it. I think we can all agree that moving water.
By that standard, I can argue. You know what? If there was like heliocentrism, well, dirt could never find a gravitational center when it explodes. Yeah, when it's exploded, it could never form a ball.
Okay, well, that's above my head. I don't understand that
it's
analogy.
above your head, is it? Oh,
yeah.
well, why
you're a little too advanced for me, but I'm talking about simple water.
It's the equivalent of your argument.
My thought about
water at rest. And then you're saying, yeah, but what about when it's not at rest? Well, yeah, that's not part of our argument.
So why you to describe what at rest means?
It means
not moving, dude. We told you like 5 times already, bro. Is this one of your chat trolls that followed you in here, or what's up, Arwijn?
Yeah, he is.
That there's no forces acting
But
on it?
only when it concerns the ball. I mean, you can have an amicable conversation with him, but not about flat Earth or anything, because then he just does this shit like all of them.
Legitimate questions that I think you're struggling
to answer. Legitimate straw man. Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you again. When water is not moving, does that mean there's no forces acting on it? Why is that a hard question to answer?
That question really is kind of
why would I answer? Like what? Why? What relevance does that have?
The relevance is that it's my contention that the water you see in the ocean right now has a force acting on it.
Okay,
you're talking about the
that
water
means that it's not horizontal or whatever.
The water that's moving. You're talking.
Repeat that.
About the water that's moving again, right?
Yeah. So yeah, cool. I know water.
Back to the water.
I'm talking about when water doesn't have force acting on it, it forms one particular shape. When water does have force acting on it, it forms a shape influenced by that force. My evidence of that is when you're in a zero-G situation like the
what shape?
What's that?
You said water takes a shape.
Yeah, yes. Shape of the container and flat.
Yeah, but that's not what he said. He said it takes a shape.
Yes.
I'm trying to figure out what shape that is.
If there's no force acting on water, what shape do you think it takes?
Well, no, I'm asking you. You're the one who says it takes a shape.
Yeah, when you have water with no force acting on it, it will form like a ball eventually.
What? It'll form a ball.
Yeah.
Wow.
Where can you demonstrate that?
Shape of the container and at the top it'll be flat.
I just told you the example in the vomit comet, right? But you deny that.
So
yeah, but that's falling.
It's not falling. Correct. There's no force acting on it.
It is falling. The plane is going down. It's falling.
So if a human was in the vomit comet and stood on a scale while it was in free fall, what would the weight be of that human?
Nothing.
Right. Why would that be nothing? Because no force is acting.
Movement. You can't waste stuff in movement. That's crazy. You don't waste stuff while it's moving.
Do you think that the person doesn't weigh anything because there's nothing pulling them down, because the vomit comet is counteracting the mysterious thing that pulls people down?
No, live in the vomit
density disequilibrium. Yeah, that's right. When you're moving, you're negating the need for movement because it's already moving. It's in motion.
So if we say the force pulling down isn't the G word, it's density equilibrium, are you saying that when water is not under the effect of density equilibrium, it still lies perfectly horizontal?
No.
Okay, so that means that if some kind of downward force is acting on it, it will conform. It will be influenced by that force.
Downward doesn't mean a ball.
Disequilibrium will definitely make it go down when it's in air.
Doesn't necessarily mean a ball, but it means that downward doesn't necessarily mean a ball, but it means if our hypothesis is that the shape of the Earth is a sphere, therefore water at rest conforms to that sphere because the water is being pulled to the center of the sphere.
No, it's not. That's a claim. The only thing you have is if I drop a million things of sand, they all fall lined up. They don't make a ball. The other outside ones don't get in front of the bottom ones to come together like a seed and make a ball. This never happens. You don't have that force. Just because you keep imagining that on some water doesn't make it so. Do it with a million objects. They should do the same thing. They should form that same ball that you're claiming. A million grains of sand. They don't do it. Stop lying. The outside parts of sand would have to catch up, go around, get in the front, get underneath, and make the fucking closure of the circle. That's never happening.
When you're proposing that thing with the sand, is it already on the ball? Because if it is, then your claim makes no sense.
Snowballs don't make themselves.
What the hell is this? So if we presuppose it's already on a ball, why would we do that?
If the particles you're talking about are already under the influence of the mysterious thing that pulls objects down, then then your analogy is completely wrong. Go into a 0G situation, or sorry, not G. Go into a situation where there's no downward force. Maybe if you went really, really high up and didn't hit some kind of barrier, and then take all those particles and see what happens. Because to suggest like sand should be forming a ball when it's already on a ball that was formed makes no sense.
You presuppose and not prove.
I mean, you're straw manning mainstream science right now. You're straw manning mainstream science right now, because when the water's falling or when it's not falling, like in the vomit comet, or when it's standing still on Earth or wherever the water is, this force that you think is there is not there in the mainstream version of gravity. So you're just straw manning the mainstream
version of science, there isn't a force acting on all mass that pulls it towards the center of a sphere. Mainstream science doesn't.
The mainstream version of gravity is general relativity, and in general relativity, there is no force there. Exactly. Yes, that is how it works.
General relativity is the cause of that force, or pseudo force.
No, there is no force. So in general relativity, there is no force.
Sure.
If you ask a scientist and ask them in mainstream science, is there a force that pulls anything with mass towards the center of the Earth? They would say no.
We've asked them and they've said no, there is no force there. Yes, the ones that know general relativity can steel man the mainstream. The ones that can steel man the mainstream version and steel man general relativity, they will say there's no force there. We've already asked them and we have the quote, so we've already done that.
The question isn't
have two mediums, brother. You gotta have.
The question isn't, is gravity a force? They all know, and they would all say that there's a force that pulls things to the center of the sphere. That's mainstream science. The cause of that force, it's not.
You don't have anything in the center of the sphere.
There is no force there.
I can't. You're all talking at once. I can't.
Yeah, there is no force there. You're just wrong.
So what is it then? What makes things fall?
It's the bending and warping of space-time.
Relative density disequilibrium. I mean,
the mainstream version is
the bending.
Mainstream version. Hold on, Buck. The mainstream version is it's the bending and warping of space-time, causing things to fall into each other. Not a force.
Okay, so there is something that causes things to be pulled to the center of the Earth. Most people call that a force because it's a pseudo force. It acts exactly like a force, but there is something. There's no way that mainstream science doesn't agree that there is something that acts as a force that pulls things to the center of the Earth. If you want to get into semantics about general relativity versus Newtonian physics, fine. But that doesn't change the fact that
there just is no it's not semantics. There just is no force there in the mainstream version of it.
You're talking about the cause of the force. And
there is no force. There is no cause of cause. You keep saying cause of the force, but there is no force.
Your claim is that there is no force. Do you agree
general relativity's claim is there? The claim of general relativity is there is no force.
Okay. Does general relativity's result become that there is nothing that makes things fall towards the center of the sphere?
I didn't say that. I've just said you keep mentioning a force, and I'm telling you there is no. You keep saying that there's this force happening, and I'm just letting you know that there is no. Bro, come on.
You're 100% correct. It's not a force. There's some mysterious, let's call it a...
Mysterious? Was it like magic?
Yeah, magic. There's something that makes things of mass be pulled to the center of the sphere. If you don't want to say it's a force, let's call it a pseudo force. Let's call it something that is
magic.
Just like a force, but it's not a force. Okay? How about that? Would general science agree that there is something that pulls mass towards the center of the sphere?
Maybe you should go ask.
No, it wouldn't.
Well, I consider myself part of general science, so but
you don't even know the science. So how can you consider yourself part of it?
You don't think I know the science of general relativity?
We just had to correct you. We just had to correct you.
Didn't know it. Hold on, BB. You just demonstrated you didn't know it.
Because
we all know you don't know it now. We all know you don't know it.
Your argument of semantics over Newtonian physics versus general relativity is so tired and old. It's so silly.
Yeah, because it's still true, and you don't address it. You can't do anything with it, and it's very tedious. I get it, because you're just wrong, and you're holding on to systems that are no longer valid.
It's no longer valid.
Yeah, no longer valid. That's right.
Maybe she could take a science class.
Before general relativity, did everyone believe that there was a force that pulled mass towards the center of the sphere before general relativity?
Not everybody believed that, but it was the official scientific position back then with Newtonian physics.
I should have said it that way.
Then
Was the general
debunked
scientific
and replaced,
consensus?
and you keep talking over my answer. You ask a question and you talk over it.
I'm sorry, Arwijn. Go ahead.
Yeah, so there was the concept through Newtonian gravity, that's a thing. There was claims. It was never really the vast consensus. It was just an opinion within the field of scientists that it was getting argued. It was never fully mainstream. It's not like it was printed in all the books and everybody had to learn that. It was an idea, just like the theory of evolution is still treated like that. It's not fully, like, it's not absolute. It's still debated, and that's how Newtonian physics, the gravity part, the gravitational pull part, was back then. It was not fully it didn't have full consensus, and then it got replaced, and then it was like off the table, like it was basically debunked and then replaced.
Can I respond?
By relativity.
Okay, so are you saying that it wasn't general consensus? Sorry, can I respond, or are you done? You're done? So is it your claim that the gravitational constant wasn't the absolute consensus of all of science before general relativity?
Yes.
That's your claim? You don't think that the gravitational constant was accepted by all of science? There was some part of science that didn't believe that the gravitational acceleration existed. Is that your claim?
It was done, yes.
So all the physics students, when they were given exams and stuff, they didn't all use 9.8 meters per second squared as the gravitational acceleration when they were solving problems and stuff. That's your contention?
I'm sure they were using it, but it was admitted that it's outdated. And I learned this in school.
No, I'm talking pre-relativity.
No, you're going to talk over me again?
Well, I thought we're having a conversation.
I'm not done yet.
I apologize again, Arwijn. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Dude, Jeremy, Sky is just untenable.
It's hard to sometimes tell when you stop and I can go, but I apologize.
Why don't you just wait until I'm done instead of just waiting for half a second of silence to immediately break in when you could actually listen to what I say to figure out when I'm done talking?
I listen to every word you say, Arwijn. It's riveting to me. And you just interrupt.
Clearly you don't, because you interrupt him.
That's all you do. You don't listen to what I'm saying at all because you don't respond to anything I'm saying. You're just waiting to continue.
I responded to exactly what you said. You said it wasn't scientific consensus pre-relativity that Newtonian physics or the Newtonian gravity was the consensus. And I suggested that it was. And my example was that you just interrupted me, Arwijn. Can you wait till I'm finished? You said that it wasn't consensus. What I was pointing out was that every single physics textbook, every single physics lecture pre-relativity, 9.8 meters per second squared was what was the common, that's what was used by all of science to figure out the gravitational force, pre-relativity. You're saying no, it was. You just interrupted me, Arwijn. Stop.
Shut the fuck up, you asshole. I'm putting you on mute. Fuck you, man. I can't talk with this asshole. Fuck you.
I don't understand. I interrupted him. I apologized. Then he interrupts me and he tells me to fuck off.
Talk straight over it. You're untenable, man. Yeah? You take too long and now you're just fucking wasting everybody's time. Just get out of here.
Justification for interrupting me is that I take too long. Is that what I'm understanding? Or do you just not want to hear what I have to say?
That's why I don't like to have you around. Because this is all you ever do, waste everybody's time.
It's not wasting
just another conversation.
I'm directly refuting your false claim. Your claim that
I'd love to have a conversation about this, but you can't. You can't have a conversation with this guy.
He's kind of like an NPC. Is this an NPC that we're dealing with? Can he only respond to certain inputs?
I mean, I was directly on the fly responding to
questions, and then he just won't let you finish your sentence.
That's ridiculous. You interrupted me.
When you complain about it, well, then as a
I can't even get my point out.
Really slow.
Yeah, the problem is that you have a double standard, Arwijn.
You waste the time, and then when you try to make it stop, he'll just tell you, you're interrupting me again. You're interrupting me again. Yeah, because you're fucking wasting my time.
Arwijn, it sounds like you expected people to only answer you in like 1 sentence or 2 sentence responses rather than letting a conversation dynamically flow out of it. And when you don't like the answer, you just say no.
He's purposely wasting our time.
You just say no when you don't like the answer and you don't let him elaborate.
Yeah, because he's wasting our time. He's making a claim. He's not backing it by evidence. And then he's just droning on and on, not leading to anything. Yeah, there's no conclusion. He made a false claim, didn't back it up, and then he just waffles on and on and on.
Do you mind unmuting him?
Sounds familiar,
so that you
but
can
you know.
speak? He's calm.
If Arwijn doesn't want to hear...
No.
Okay, so stop talking, Arwijn. Okay, Arwijn seems to have stopped. My point for Arwijn, when he said that pre-relativity, it wasn't commonly accepted in science, that the gravitational force. My point was that if you look at any physics textbook, pre-relativity, any physics student, pre-relativity, they were all taught that 9.8 meters per second squared was the gravitational acceleration on Earth.
Is still there?
So the claim that it wasn't consensus is false. So that just takes care of that. I mean, it's not a big deal, but Arwijn was incorrect about that.
Exactly, but like even today, like when I studied engineering, we used Newton because it works. Like,
of course.
It works. You have to then still ratify that regardless of general relativity. You have to figure that out. And we absolutely still use that in physics today.
And in my engineering degree, of course I use 9.8 meters per second squared.
You can use the formula, but it's not scientific. It's
so
just
you can
practical.
use the formula, but it's not scientific. That really makes no sense.
What do you mean by that, Arwijn? Like,
is 9.8 meters per second, is that actually a formula or is that just a speed? I mean, where the fuck did you get it from?
Acceleration on Earth.
Acceleration rate estimate.
Approximately.
And it's not even accurate.
Yeah, where'd you get it from, though?
9.8 meters per
average.
second.
It's like the average at ground level with the typical pressure of the atmosphere, of the gas. Like how things fall within it.
Yeah, they do it
So
in
it's
like
like a
8th grade
guess.
science experiments. No, they do it every day in 8th grade.
So it's a guess.
It's an estimate. Is what it is. An estimate.
Yeah, it sounds like a
average.
guess.
And it's not universal, right?
It's an estimate because the Earth is not a perfect
is much lower. The acceleration.
It's not an estimate. It's a measurement. It's an average of an average of a measurement. It's not an estimate.
Yeah.
So wait. So when you measure someone's foot,
dude, an average of a measurement. You know what that's called? An estimate. That's an estimate.
No, an estimate would
Because
be
it's not
what you
absolute.
have prior to doing the experiment. Once you do the experiment, you have a measurement. And then over the course of a period of time, you have an average.
Wait, what's
of
the
measurements.
experiment?
Well, they drop things.
You drop
and,
something?
You time it. Yeah, in like 8th grade science.
He's got it.
That's not an experiment.
Science.
Of course it is.
Dropping things is not an experiment.
Yeah,
Elaborate.
That's called a test.
Go ahead,
It's not an
elaborate why
experiment.
it's not an experiment.
Because it's not. You're just dropping
manipulating
something.
Your independent
Oh,
variable.
it's not because it's not. That's circular.
No,
Yeah,
you can
that's right.
vary. You can
You're just
vary the
dropping
mass.
stuff.
You can vary the mass, and it's consistent. So that's
Mass is not a legitimate independent variable
Why not?
because it's not. It's a mathematically derived thing that does not exist separate.
From
It's not a naturally occurring phenomenon. It's part of density. Density is something that is always there. It occurs
always
in
mass.
Mass doesn't occur in nature without the other side of it, which is volume, which is combined known as density. Yeah, density exists in nature. Mass does not exist in nature. It's a calculated, derived concept.
So
It's
is
not
density.
actually occurring phenomenon.
Density is also calculated.
Yeah, density is also derived.
Without mass. Without
But it's not whether something is calculated, it's whether it can exist outside of being calculated.
Yep, I can count the number of atoms or molecules in something.
Oh, really? This guy can calculate the amount of atoms.
Nope.
How do you do that?
He can count.
How do you count them?
He can count the atoms. Go ahead.
Yeah,
go.
sure.
Go.
Can you tell me how many are in an orange?
Depends on the size of the orange.
Yep.
Well, wait.
Well, wait. What?
You go
You're going to count it, right?
So you fill up a glass with marbles.
Don't tell us how you do it. Go do it.
Oh, we already
You
did.
don't know about Avogadro's constant? What?
Yeah, marbles are
Don't
not
give us some garbage.
molecules. I mean, this
You
is
fill up
my
a glass
goodness.
with marbles, you have a number of marbles. If you make a bigger glass, you have more marbles. So of course it matters.
So you're not going to count the
an
atoms
atom
in
is
an
not a
orange.
marble.
It's like a whole field of chemistry about Avogadro's constant and what a mole is. But okay, great.
Yeah, that's in chemistry. It's ratio based. Yeah, you don't count the molecules. Nobody does. You can't.
Yeah, you can.
Oh my God.
No, you can't. You can
Absolutely
only you can calculate it. You can't isolate atom by atom. You can't count them.
That's a nuh-uh right there.
Ridiculous.
Well, we're waiting for you to show us. Prove us wrong. Go
exist in
count the atoms in an orange. We'll wait.
Go about Avogadro's constant and how moles work in chemistry, then you'll know.
Yep.
Yeah, chemistry.
So you can't do it, is what you're saying.
You want me to do it live on air? Is that what you're asking for?
Dude, we'll wait, man. Come on.
Okay. So
what's the fucking holdup? You know, you say you got a magic trick and then you don't show us.
Okay, so let's go back. The density. How do you?
This is a shitty show, man. Your show sucks.
How do you determine the density?
Come up with a new gig.
Hey, Arwijn, how do you determine the density of something?
Determine the density. Yeah, basically.
I agree, Seashell. This show does suck, man.
This show sucks.
Okay.
Well, sorry, Arwijn, I asked Arwijn a question he was answering. Go ahead, Arwijn, sorry.
Yeah, you take something, a thing, and then you measure its volume, and then you weigh it, and then you cross-reference it, and then you know the density.
Oh, so you have to calculate density. Okay, that makes sense.
Well, if you want it perfectly defined in numbers, yes.
Okay, do it without defining it in numbers. How do you calculate the density?
That makes no sense. That's self-contradicting statement.
Okay, sorry. How do you determine
anything without numbers?
You're right. How do you determine density without using mass or volume?
You can't.
Okay, cool. Then we agree that mass and you have to have mass and volume in order to have density, and vice versa.
No, you don't have to have. No, it is volume and mass combined.
So you don't have to have it, but
and it exists just like that in nature. Now go and get an object that only has mass and no volume. Go ahead.
Okay, go find me a piece.
You're not going to answer it. Oh,
yes,
wow.
No,
he didn't answer it. He did not find an object that has a mass but not a volume. Because guess what? It doesn't exist in nature.
Right. Arwijn, I completely agree with you.
So
Arwijn,
you're going to drop this stupid inquiry about this specific subject that you've been on for a month?
He can't answer it.
Following me around, bringing this up over and over again? Now that you conceded that you're not going to find an object with mass but no volume, are you going to concede now that it's not a naturally occurring phenomenon? Mass is not a naturally occurring phenomenon. Are you going to concede
the same way density is? The same way density is, because you can't find something with density that doesn't have mass or volume. So, good job.
That makes no sense. You will find an object. What the fuck does it matter whether you're going to find something with a density that cannot be calculated in mass and volume? That's ridiculous. It's not about whether it has those aspects that you can calculate. It's whether you're going to find it in nature. When you can find a thing that only has mass, where you isolate it as an independent variable, it's exclusively that. Yeah, you don't.
Find something that has a density.
You don't find anything in nature that only has a mass.
Find something that only has a density. Go ahead and find something that only has a density.
Can you unmute Bud Arwijn so he can participate?
Everything
he has a good point to make.
Everything has mass too. I agree. Anything that has density has mass and volume.
But it does not only have mass and not volume.
Correct.
You can't find anything that only has mass. You can find everything has density, but nothing has only mass. And that is the fucking point.
So everything that has density has mass and volume. So I agree with you, but you can't find anything you can't find something with density that doesn't have mass and volume. It's the same circular argument. Yep.
That's right. That's correct. But you can't find anything that only has mass and no volume. So it's not a naturally occurring phenomenon.
Okay, we're having an argument.
Am I getting through now?
No, you're talking in circles.
Stupid train with this bullshit.
It's
doing for weeks.
Let Bud speak, please. Arwijn, will you?
No, I'm not talking in circles. I'm being very clear, very, very clear as to what makes something a naturally occurring phenomenon in order to it to be viable in a scientific fashion. You have to find it in nature exclusively, not deriving through calculation. Has to then
does density exist without mass?
That mass is not exclusive. Yeah,
I think I found it.
Separately. Density exists separately. And then when you want to calculate it, you have to then calculate it through mass and volume. Yeah, we know. But as a thing, as a naturally occurring phenomenon, density exists. Mass does not. It's a derived concept. And so it is not a naturally occurring phenomenon.
Density is not a phenomenon.
Okay.
I just want to point out.
Straight out denial then,
Oh
sure.
my God. I want to point out that we are right now having a discussion where someone is claiming that we cannot use mass in a scientific experiment. Can you imagine? Like,
that's right.
Mass I mean, how many scientific experiments use mass? And to say every one of those is invalid is the absurdity of that is beyond belief. To suggect that it's not science
because it's so ridiculous. Blocked. Fuck you.
I mean, even the flat earthers on here, like, do you understand the absurdity of that claim that Arwijn is making? That you
Jeremy,
cannot use mass
there?
in a scientific experiment.
I'd appreciate if you remove the troll that uses my picture. Keeps doing that. Edit his picture, by the way.
Does anyone on here agree that mass cannot be used in a scientific experiment besides Arwijn?
Yeah, what's up, Arwijn? My bad, I was talking to my wife. What'd you say?
Oh, there's a troll in the chat called Sumbear, and he always takes my fucking picture for his profile, and I really don't want that. Keeps doing it.
Okay, I'll repeat that. Does anyone in here besides Arwijn agree that mass cannot be used in a valid scientific experiment?
Did you just go away?
Hold on a second. Who is it? What's their name?
Sumbear is like 4 slots beneath you.
In the VC or text?
He's in the VC. Oh, now he's taken... what the fuck is that? I don't know. He is a troll. He's never spoken up, and he always keeps jumping in with pictures of me, and I don't want it. Thank you.
Okay, does anyone besides Arwijn agree that mass cannot be used in a scientific experiment? It's invalid.
Yeah, mass can be used, yes.
Yeah, does anyone besides Arwijn? Because if it's only Arwijn, then why, like, we should just drop that discussion.
Yeah, but what's
I think
mass?
Someone said the elementary school experiment where you drop something and time it is not a valid experiment. And that's where it led to, well, because
it's not.
Yeah. You know who told me that? That teacher. Oh. The teacher that told us about this supposed gravity. They also explained that it wasn't scientific, but that you had to learn it in the curriculum. But they admitted this is not legitimate science. You'll learn about it in university.
Okay, so if we want to take that simple experiment that kids do, what's the hypothesis?
Not an experiment, it's a test.
God, stop interrupting. What's the hypothesis?
What are you testing?
Oh, so you weren't here, Robert, but we were talking about the simple experiment that kids do where they drop something and they time how long it takes to fall to calculate.
It's not an experiment.
Hang on, where you calculate the acceleration due to gravity. So I say that it is an experiment. Let's start by the scientific method. What's the hypothesis?
You're not varying and manipulating an independent variable. You're just
you haven't let me even go.
Measuring it. That's it.
Yes,
it's not an experiment.
You're varying it. You're dropping different masses. Yes,
yeah, but measuring things is not science. So the guy at the Foot Locker who measures your stinky foot is not a scientist.
Oh, we really? Wow! You didn't know that the scientific. Okay, during the experiment and the data analysis, those are where measurements are made. Come on now, wake up.
Why? If the argument is it's not a valid scientific experiment, why don't we step through it? Right? Let's establish a hypothesis, a dependent variable, observation, and result. We'll give the observations that we've all done. Anyone who's done the experiment, and then we'll determine if it's a valid scientific experiment. Okay, so Robert, if we're doing the experiment, what's the hypothesis? I can come up.
Yes, the hypothesis is things go to the ground just because they love to.
That's retarded.
No. Hold on. This is important. See, we all observe the phenomenon that things go to the ground. Now we want to know why. So we can form a hypothesis. We can form a hypothesis. Well, hold on. You're going to ask the question why. That comes before the hypothesis. Why do things go to the ground? Because you're observing a natural phenomenon. That's part of the scientific method.
Okay, so the natural phenomenon that we're observing is things fall to the ground. My hypothesis is
that is hold on, we're not there yet. Wait.
Too many people talking at once. There's too many people talking. I want everyone to just keep in mind. Hold on, man. Hold on, dude. Guys, there's too many people talking at once. We've all got to go one at a time, please.
I'm just saying the hypothesis is things go to the ground because they love to go to the ground.
That's not a hypothesis.
So yes, That is your hypothesis.
I'm going to do it different.
You're hypothesizing that things go to the ground because they love to go to the ground.
That's actually a claim.
No, that's a hypothesis.
Oh my gosh. My hypothesis for this experiment is that I think that independent of mass, things fall to the Earth at 9.8 meters per second squared. That's the acceleration.
That's also a claim. That's a claim.
All right, cool. Here's the thing, though.
A claim and a hypothesis.
I know you guys can hear me. I know you can hear me. I know you can. The thing is, when this is all said and done, and this is your science right here of things falling to the ground, I guess you can never prove things in science. That's what the Globers have been claiming this whole time. So when this is all said and done, you're not going to, well, so when your science is all said and done, I'd like to call it pseudoscience. You guys call it regular science, though. But when this thing is said and done, in the end, you're not going to know because you can't prove 100%. So you don't know if it gives 99% one way or the 0.1% the other way. Like, you don't know. So you're going to do this and then not know in the end. And you're arguing with us about it. Why? Because you don't know in the end.
To be fair, the reason. One second, but sorry. The reason that this is
Jeremy, dogmatism is pseudoscience.
The reason
dogmatism is
on that line. We good on this guy?
Yeah. One sec. The reason that this is happening is to show why it's an experiment and not science, like not Seashell King says.
You have failed to do that.
That's what this is a demonstration of. It's not a demonstration of whether or not science can prove things or what proof is or this or that. It's just to show what an experiment is. That's the only thing they're trying to demonstrate.
Well, you're just measuring. This is just a measurement of the effect, right? Things falling.
It's just how you form a hypothesis, what happens after a hypothesis, what you do with data analysis, just walking through a simple childhood experiment to show why it's a valid experiment. That's all they're doing.
Yeah, I'm saying this is
thank you.
This is measuring the effect, right? That's all we're.
Yeah, you went off for a second.
Experiment is just measuring.
Yeah,
it's just measuring the effect, right?
Yeah, because Nazi can't understand what an experiment is.
Right.
Why don't we walk through it and then?
Wait, it's because I'm too dumb.
Valid experiment.
Exactly.
Because I pointed out that it's not an experiment.
Well, that's our
hypothesis. You can't
to show that it is.
Just measuring
the elements of it.
You're varying a variable, and you're confirming your hypothesis.
You're just measuring. IC Spin just said we're just measuring. IC Spin just said we're just measuring the effect.
Right. We're seeing if the hypothesis is confirmed.
Yeah,
or not.
you don't need a hypothesis. You don't need a hypothesis for a measurement. You just go do a measurement. Like if we walk into Home Depot and I'm like,
if you don't have a hypothesis,
boards, my man's like, hold on, let me make a hypothesis. Bro, how do you know what I'm saying if you're talking while I'm talking? That's the real question.
We agree with what you're saying. We're showing you that what an experiment is. Part of the experiment is measurement, but the hypothesis comes.
I know, but you're making a hypothesis for the measurement. I don't need to go into Home Depot and ask my man, yo, how long you think them boards are? And he's like, hold on, let me make a hypothesis.
Yeah, that's not an experiment.
Yeah.
Right. We understand that.
Or a test. That's what it classifies as. You're roboting, Jeremy.
Give me 2 more. There's nobody else.
Jeremy, you're roboting. Nobody can hear you. Nobody can hear you. We're doing this because Nazi's Shell King can't understand what an experiment is, so we're showing him that. And
I'm too dumb.
It seems that way if you don't understand.
That's my hypothesis, yes.
That's my hypothesis, too. We'll see at the end of this. Let's test it. Go ahead.
Actually, it's not a hypothesis. You're simply agreeing with what I'm saying. Keep up.
No.
Okay, dude, all right, I'm back. I'm back right now. Hold on. I know. Okay. Here's the thing. Just like you said, that's not an experiment when I was going to go measure the boards in Home Depot. This isn't an experiment because you're just measuring the effect. You're measuring how fast things drop. It's just a measurement.
Nope, we're varying the variable. We're varying the variable and measuring the
You're
outcome.
varying the variable. What?
Yep,
in the what is that?
You don't understand that? You don't understand that? Because that's kind of
what
weird.
Is it?
My hypothesis was confirmed for the record.
You know what that is? That process? It's called a calculation.
Nope. It's called
so you drop something. Okay, so you drop something and then you measure how fast it falls, right?
Yep.
No, that's not the experiment. The experiment.
Oh, my bad. What's the experiment?
My hypothesis / claim, whatever you call, is that any object of any mass, as it falls, experiences an acceleration of 9.8 meters per second squared, whether it's a kilogram or 2 kilograms. That's my hypothesis.
Well, that's definitely not going to be true.
Well, so let's make the observation. So we have that.
They've already done
that's
it.
the hypothesis. Varying masses fall at a constant 9.8 meters per second.
Man, did this guy go to school or what?
They've already debunked you though. The thing you're saying is just not even true.
I can't even get through the.
Jeremy,
I know, because the thing you're saying is already debunked, guys. The thing you're saying has already been debunked. Bro, can I just finish, please, man?
But you interrupted me.
The thing you're saying has already been debunked. Go ahead with your debunk thing. Go ahead with your hypothesis.
Okay.
That's already
My
been debunked.
hypothesis is that objects of different mass fall at 9.8 meters per second squared. That's the acceleration.
That's already been debunked. So
okay. So my experiment should show that that's false then. So what's the independent variable? The independent variable is the mass of the objects I'm measuring the speed with which it falls. That's the independent variable. Do we agree with that? We vary the mass.
The thing you're saying is not true. The thing you're saying, you stopped for a very long time, so I started going, my bad.
The dependent
you're saying has already been, bro.
Dude, he literally asked a question.
We heard you,
he
Jeremy.
asked.
We heard you. Just listen to the rest of it. We heard you. We understand that you think it's debunked.
No, I think it's debunked. The mainstream has debunked this notion of everything falls at 9.8 meters per second squared.
Okay.
It's not, I didn't do it. I don't think it's
I know.
that.
We understand we understand what you're saying.
The mainstream
so
claim is
experiment.
The mainstream claim is that this got thing. The mainstream thinks the mainstream is saying the thing this guy is saying is not true. It's not me saying it's not true. It's the mainstream saying it's not true.
We understand that. We understand.
That's why we do experiments. It will show when I do the experiment, it will confirm that it's not valid. My hypothesis is false. It will falsify it. Great. So we've established the we've established that bearing the mass is the independent variable. The dependent variable is what we observe, the speed with which it falls. Okay. So the procedure that we follow is we drop a mass, let's call it mass 1, which is 1 kilogram, a 1 kilogram lead ball. We drop it from a known height and measure the time that it takes to hit the ground. And from that, obviously, we can calculate the acceleration. We say we do that 5 times with mass 1. We then take mass 2, which is a 2 kilogram sphere, and we drop it another 5 times, time how long it takes to hit the ground, and we simple calculation of the acceleration. Then we do mass 3, and that's 3 kilograms. And we
get
do
it,
the same
dude.
thing. Hang on. We do 5 trials and we determine the acceleration that each of those masses of each mass experience. So we have all these observations. Then we look at the results. What are the results? If my hypothesis was correct, then the acceleration of each of those masses should be the same. If my hypothesis was false, then we should see a variation of those.
Yeah. Okay.
So the question isn't whether it's true or false. The question is that a valid experiment? And I think I presented each element of an experiment that makes it valid. So
all right, man. But here's the thing. Oh, you're still going.
No, I'm done.
Jeremy,
he was teaching us.
In the beginning of this, I said, you're just measuring how fast things fall. And you were like, no. It's this other thing. But in the end, that's all you're doing is measuring how fast things fall.
You missed the variables part where he varied it. Maybe you missed that. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
I know. You take an object, you measure how fast it falls. You take a different object, you measure how fast that falls. You take every object on Earth and measure how fast it falls. You're just measuring how fast things fall.
Yep.
That's a great experiment.
Yep, good job.
You don't have a cause in it. You don't have a cause. Okay, why do things fall?
No,
that's not the hypothesis was things of differing mass fall at the same acceleration. That was my hypothesis.
You're measuring an independent variable. You're varying the density.
What causes them to fall. Nothing about anything like relativity or Newtonian. It was simply objects of differing mass experience the same acceleration as they fall, and whether
somebody said cause and effect. How come every time I clip someone to get in, somebody else talks? Go ahead, Arwijn.
He's literally saying that he's varying his variable, and there's no results.
Arwijn, stop.
Every mass will fall the same rate. So there's no change then. So you're not actually varying.
You're varying the mass.
The independent variable wasn't done yet.
Oh my
right?
God.
No, you're actually when you vary the density, now there is a change. So now when you actually do it with the density, now you have a change. Now you are varying and manipulating something that's actually a naturally occurring phenomenon, and it is
totally missed the
yielding a
point.
different result, right?
You totally missed
When
the
you vary
point.
the mass, he already admitted you changed.
You totally missed the point.
Dude, I'm not
Way over your head.
done yet, you asshole. Yeah? He literally said you take a mass, then you take something with twice the mass, and there's no change. So that means that it's not actually, you're not varying and manipulating the cause of the effect, which is the supposed acceleration rate. Yeah, so you actually have a null result. You have a null result.
Yeah, no, but
Correct.
the thing you're saying is not even true though, because the same mass will fall at different rates. The same mass will fall at different rates. So
hey, Buck was very clear.
It's a perfect experiment then. Why are we arguing?
Exactly. The point was that
because you're only measuring. We don't need 3 globers. Relax, guys. You're only measuring. You take an object, you measure how fast it falls. You don't need a hypothesis for that.
Well, my hypothesis is that things of differing mass fall at the same rate. You say they don't fall at the same rate. My hypothesis is that they do, and so that's a perfect experiment. It's beyond.
You're making a what is claim. That's not the cause of an effect that you're varying and manipulating. Then. It's not science.
Jeremy,
a measurement is an observation, and an observation is an integral part of a scientific experiment. I don't understand why a measurement makes it invalid somehow.
Okay, so if this is an experiment, and you measure how fast something falls, and then you measure another how fast something else falls, and you don't know if that's even correct because you can't ever prove any. You never know 100% with science. So. What good is it even bickering or quibbling over this when in the end you don't even know?
Well, because in your situation, it's perfect because you say that masses don't fall at equal rates. So this would nullify my hypothesis, and you would be gold, right? That's why it's a great experiment.
Because you can't. Because you can't ever prove any. In your version, though, in the mainstream. Idea of science, you can never prove anything 100%, which means
I can falsify. I can't prove. I can falsify. And based on what you're
sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead. I clipped you.
So based on what your we're working with my hypothesis, but if what you say is correct, my hypothesis will become invalid and it falsifies it, right? So that's how an experiment works. My idea that different masses fall at the same rate, this experiment could potentially falsify it. And according to what you believe, it would falsify it. So it's a great experiment. And if they did fall at the same rate, it doesn't prove for a fact that all objects of differing mass fall at the same rate, because we've only tried 3 different masses, right?
Okay, so what have you, hold on, man, just hold on. Okay, what have you falsified? Tell me exactly what you falsified.
Let's assume that we did the observation.
Just tell me what you just tell me what you falsified, please, because I have a follow-up. Don't go on a whole long thing. Just what did you falsify with this?
I have to, in order to say what I falsified, I have to say what I observed. So
just say you hypothetically falsified your
so hypothetically, the masses fall at different rates. I have then falsified the hypothesis that things of differing mass fall at the same rate. It has been falsified.
So you've proven that things with the same masses can fall at different rates. Then
I've proven it. I've falsified.
Yeah, when you falsify something, you prove the antithesis.
Cognitive dissonance.
You falsified that things of the different mass fall at the same rate, which means you've proven that things with different mass fall at different rates.
Yes, I would say
yes.
Well, no,
you can't falsify. You realize you can't falsify.
That's not accurate.
You realize you can't falsify something without proving the antithesis. Like, let's say you guys were like, "Yo, we falsified."
No.
Stationary Earth.
I'll give you an example.
Hold on, man, dude.
No, you can,
bro, dude. Come on, man.
I'm falsifying your claim,
bro. I'm right in the middle of my thing, dude.
I know what you're going to say, but we can you can't.
Experiment.
My claim is that
go ahead. Let me get
when you falsify things, you have things of different mass. You have things of different mass falling at the same at the different rates, right? You falsified that things of different mass fall at the same rate. You falsified that. It's 100% false, right?
Yep.
Okay. So we now know, since that doesn't happen, that things of the same, different mass do fall at different rates 100%, because you can't falsify that and then not have it the other way. If you falsify, one thing, the antithesis. Right in the middle of me talking, dude?
Yeah, because you say the same thing over and over. We know what you mean. You're right, but you can't, because there could be other variables. There could be other variables that you can manipulate to make them fall at the same rate. So no, you can't say the opposite is true.
You've already proven 100% that they don't fall at the same rate, though.
But if you manipulate the other variables that you're not taking into consideration, you can get them to fall at the same rate. So that's obviously
resistance.
Yep.
Okay, but you've already proven, and I know, but with the same variables in the same experiment, whatever experiment he did, where you falsified that the objects of different mass don't fall at the same rate. You've proven that objects of different mass don't fall at the same rate
in that controlled experiment. But if you manipulate other variables, you can get them to fall at the same rate.
So you have proven something here 100%. Great. I'm glad we're on the same page. Science can 100% prove things.
Well, no, it's actually
you agree that it's a valid experiment, though.
You have evidence that.
Do we agree that you've 100% proven something? Just hold on a second, guys. I'm almost done. I'm gonna back out after this. You agree that we've just 100% proven something?
No, you can't. You can't prove.
Hold on. I asked the guy who asked me if I agree that it's an experiment.
I agree.
I'll answer you right after you answer this.
So if we measured that the masses fall at varying rates under the conditions that the experiment was done, I agree that we have proven that they don't fall at the same rate. We've under those conditions.
Okay, great. I'll give you that this is an experiment, and you've just given me that science 100% proves things. Cool.
Okay, that's.
I'll take it. All
right. So
you're going to be arguing with your Glober friends now about whether science can prove things or not, because Wesley's trying to adamantly fight this.
Well, don't forget, I said under the same conditions, right?
Yeah, same conditions. We've 100% proven this thing. Yeah. In your experiment, we just 100%, we did science and we 100% proved something. That's dope.
Well, you can falsify it. You can 100% falsify the hypothesis, which we just did. So yes, I agree with you.
Wes, do you realize when you falsify something, you prove the antithesis?
You've disproven you've disproven a subset of all of the possibilities.
Do you guys realize that when you falsify something, you want 100% prove the antithesis of that thing that you falsified?
Right. And you know how you said you proved things in science? The answer goes back to you've disproven in science, right?
Yeah.
No, we just disproved it by falsifying the thing that he did in his experiment, which means we've proven the antithesis of it.
But see, the way you're talking is you'd be affirming the consequent. The way you're
it's not affirming the consequent. You can't you can't falsify something and not prove the antithesis.
But you're proving what you're saying is you're disproving a subset of all of the other possibilities.
No, you're disproving a thing. To IC spin, you're disproving a thing, right? There's this thing that you've now 100%
under the exact
this thing that you've 100. There's this thing that you've 100% disproven. It is not true. That means the antithesis of that is 100% true, which is what he just did in his experiment. He 100% proved something in his experiment he just did. That's science. You have science 100% proving something.
I agree that you can't weigh 150 pounds and 100 pounds at the same exact time. So if that's proving something, then sure, we agree.
But that's why it comes back to the adage of in science we either affirm or we disprove the hypothesis, or not disprove, excuse me, either affirm or nullify the hypothesis. I'm using the word that I didn't want to. But,
that's why
it's never proven.
That's why your hypothesis and your null hypothesis are the antithesis of each other. That way, one of them has to be true in the end. You guys are like, I don't know how you don't get this. When you fall, like say you guys were like, yo, we falsified moving Earth, or we falsified stationary Earth, right? You guys think that, right? We falsified 100% stationary Earth.
We falsified it, yes.
Yes, that means you have 100% proven, and that would be science, right? The falsification of the stationary Earth. That means we've 100% proven that the Earth is moving. Congratulations, you 100% proved something again using science.
I would say that I do disagree with the 100% part that you added, but it sounds like like you said, it might be a disagreement among us. But I think you either confirm the hypothesis or you confirm the null.
Okay, but spin. If you 100% falsify,
I hear what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying, Jeremy.
So Jeremy, I think I agree with you too.
No, I agree with what you're saying about what was said in this conversation, but I disagree with the disproving 100%. That's what I'm saying. In other words,
falsification is a disproving.
Right. That's what I disagree.
When there's a binary choice.
So you're saying we can't. Hold on. Let me just work this out with IC Spin real quick. You're saying we can't disprove anything in science.
No, we can disprove things by confirming the null.
Right? Okay, when you disprove something, if you disprove stationary Earth, that means Earth must be moving.
That's why I use falsify. I say that falsify and disprove are not equivalent terms. That's all I'm saying.
You're saying when you falsify something, there's a chance that it's not falsified and it could still be true.
Yeah, it's like providing evidence for the null.
So you can't falsify anything either then. You can't falsify anything either then. That's crazy, bro. You guys are off the hook, dude, with this.
Right. So it goes back to what you said, that science doesn't prove things. So now you understand, right?
No, because now you're saying you can't prove. Now you're saying you can't falsify things either.
No, you can falsify things to a great degree of certainty.
To a great degree of certainty, but that you can't you don't know if it's false or not because it could still be true.
We have a very high chance of it being true.
That's what I'm saying. You guys do this science and you never know either way. Even if you falsify something, you don't know if it's actually false. If you find something to be true, you don't know if it's actually true. You do the science where you don't know. Like, why are we even talking to you guys?
Proof versus knowing.
We can state that Baller's claim that science doesn't prove things and it doesn't disprove anything either. Congratulations.
I think the issue is here, and I agree with you, Jeremy, to a certain degree. I think the issue here is that we're looking at experiments where there's a binary option. It's either yes or no. In the real world, most of the time, there's more than one possibility, more than two possibilities. So I get what you're saying, Jeremy. And it does. I agree with you. It makes sense. But generally, when you're doing a true science experiment, like a university student or actual scientist does it, it's not such a binary yes/no possibility. But
if you 100. Hold on real quick. The thing I was talking about, there's a lab in Europe where they drop the same object nonstop and it falls at varying rates depending on when you drop it. Like all this lab does, it's not the Bremen drop tower, it's a different drop tower, but all they do is drop the same thing over and over and over again, and it'll change over time how fast it drops. However, let me just go on the last thing though. If you disprove, see, that's why he had to say you don't 100% disprove things, because he knows that if you 100% disprove something or falsify it, he didn't like those were the same words, but if you 100% disprove something, the antithesis of that thing has to be true. You know what I'm saying? Like take Karl Popper's Black Swan. If you say all swans are white, and then I come at you with a black swan, did I falsify that all swans are white? You'd say yes.
See, but I think that's where the consequence
hold on real quick, man. I'm almost done.
I know it's a dichotomy you're presenting when it's not always a dichotomy. So on the dichotomies that are actually true dichotomies, then you're 100% correct.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Okay, but anytime you falsify something, there's now a dichotomy between that thing being true or that thing being false. So if that thing's false, then the opposite of it has to be true, like stationary Earth. Or is the Earth stationary or is it moving? Well, if you falsify stationary Earth and you're saying 100% it's not stationary, then it in fact is 100% must be moving.
Jeremy, can I pose a question? I think I understand where you're going. Let's say I had an experiment. My hypothesis is that not all swans are white. If I observed a black swan, does that mean I've proven that my hypothesis?
You've proven that all swans aren't white, right?
Right. That's where I'm thinking. That's what. Like that, so this is where I kind of see where you're going, right? Like when you have this dichotomy where it's either one or the other. I mean, I guess you could say that science does prove things if it's a true dichotomy like that.
Well, it's always a dichotomy. The thing you posed with different weights and the same speed, same rate of acceleration. It's a dichotomy. They either are falling at the same rate of acceleration or they aren't, right? That's the dichotomy. There's no third option,
right? Like if we move to a different spot on Earth, it might be different, right? If we move
same spot, bro, same spot. Dude, right, they do it in the same spot.
Right. So the antithesis has to be in the exact same conditions. And with that, I will agree. I will agree that under the exact same conditions, the falsification is in a sense proof, right? So that's
why I use like confirming the hypothesis or confirming the null, which is what I think is actually the approach that science takes in the purest sense of the word.
Because there's never a true dichotomy. Even my swan example, you could say, well, what if I'm colorblind? What if the person observing,
dude,
you know what I'm getting?
Every hypothesis is a dichotomy if it's set up correctly. Every hypothesis is a dichotomy because you set up an alternative hypothesis, which is, say, I think heat will cause water to boil. Can anyone guess what the null hypothesis is going to be in that experiment?
Yeah, that heat won't cause water to boil.
Yeah, correct. That would be your null hypothesis, right? Your hypothesis is heat will cause water to boil. And then there's a dichotomy to that. It's that heat won't cause water to boil. Now you have a dichotomy and you're going to falsify one and therefore proving the other one.
But how do you know that it requires heat plus a specific location on Earth to cause it to boil?
Well, I would also add real quick to that. I'll also add how do you know if you got it hot enough? What if there's a temperature limit you can't get to at this point? So you
that's not part of it. You just increase it. And
what if you can't?
Won't cause it to boil? Then it doesn't work.
What if
the material you're using to boil the water, like say a glass beaker, what if the combination of heat and glass causes it to boil? So if you did it in a metal pot, say, heat wouldn't cause it to boil.
Or we don't have the technology to get it hot enough. That's always
That's why they say either you accept or reject
what if you can't, Arwyn? What if you can't?
Well, then you don't have a proper setup.
Okay, so there's some things we can't get hot enough or fast enough or we don't have the technology to do. So there are times
where we do though. So it's like, what if we didn't have the wheel? Yeah, but we do though.
But we lost the technology and it's very difficult to build it back again.
Okay, that's hilarious.
Yeah, but at one point we didn't. So was it disproven, 100 years ago when we couldn't do it?
Yeah, well, that preceded the scientific methods. So
100 years ago did? That's interesting.
No, the wheel was there a lot longer.
Okay, what about making plasma?
What?
Plasma's not possible because we couldn't heat it up hot enough. So does that mean plasma didn't exist before?
Maybe. It may be naturally occurring, but it couldn't be made in order to be experimented with.
Agreed. So our experiments would show false, but we just didn't have the technology to get to the point that we needed.
No, it's not like that because it simply wasn't discovered. There was no concept of plasma.
There was a concept of plasma before we made it. Yes, there certainly was.
Didn't know it existed. Doesn't mean it wasn't there. It just wasn't conceived of yet.
Yes, we did know it existed. We just couldn't recreate it.
Citation.
Plasma? Sure.
Yeah.
We knew the sun was plasma before we could make plasma.
Oh, really? Citation.
Okay. Oh, you're asking for a citation. I
am. Because they're making a claim about supposed established science. Okay. So, yeah.
Yeah. If I get it, will you believe it or no?
Yeah, sure, I will.
Okay.
Wes, would it be fair to say that you are the citation? Or?
I am the citation.
Yeah, no, but you're referencing something that's supposedly historical. Yeah, historically recorded. Yeah, it's not a concept you're putting on the table that didn't exist before you came up with it. Yeah, that's when I say I am the citation because I'm the one that came up with it. There is no reference out there. It's very funny. I know it's all hilarious when I do that, but it's actually relevant when I do that. It's not relevant here because he's citing something that supposedly happened historically, and I'd like to see a citation of it. I'd like to see some evidence.
Arwyn, while he's getting that citation, could you get the citation of the thing that says airplanes can't fly past a certain northerly point?
I theoretically could, but
can you get it while he's getting it? Can you get yours? in theory?
I could, but I'm not gonna, because it's not part of this discussion.
Well, it was part of the discussion yesterday. I think we were moving on from this stuff.
I don't give a fuck.
So you're making that claim without citation?
Yeah.
And how about density is a natural phenomenon? I'd like to see a citation for that.
Wow. Well, you could literally Google that. It will be.
It says, it literally phenomenon is a process. It's not a attribute like density is. So
it's not an answer to whether it is a naturally occurring phenomenon, though.
You think density is a process?
It's a naturally occurring phenomenon. It's not going to deny that.
Phenomenon is a process by the definition of it. So go ahead and show me how density is a process, which is required for a phenomenon.
Let's see which one of you can get the citation first.
That's good.
Okay, ready, go.
What are you grinning about?
Grinning? How do you know I'm grinning?
I can hear it.
You can hear a grin? That's interesting.
Yeah, we chuckle.
Grins
make an experiment about that.
Phenomenon. You can hear them.
You can hear grins. That's pretty good.
Okay, well, sorry for the language barrier.
Oh, that's why I just asked.
Oh, and I have to agree. Your English is phenomenal.
It is.
It's really good for it not being your native language. It's impressive.
I had a lot of
you barely have an accent.
You got someone triggered in the chat there, Jeremy.
He's in voice, or he was in voice chat before, making some Alec type comments.
But here's the headline. Let's keep it.
Here, I'll put the citation for Arwijn for his density claim too.
I'll definitely look at it.
I'm going to do it different. The other thing, like there was the atomic theory that we postulated before we could see atoms too. So we make theoretical. We make theoretical.
I'm not going to ask for a citation with that, because that was clearly a theoretical model that was then proceeded to be proven, supposedly.
Right, but at the time they came up with it, they couldn't prove
but not plasma, though. Because plasma was a discovery, but not a theory that was then proven. No, it was a discovery by
but we couldn't make it. But we couldn't make it.
Yeah, that's nice. But it wasn't conceived of before the discovery. Yeah, that's
I agree with you.
It wasn't a theorized model that was then proven.
I agree with you. That was a bad example.
Here. Somebody here said that. And so I
agree with you.
I wanted some evidence. Like, really?
I agree with you. I agree with you. So now I put it, I agree with you. You're right.
Thank you for rectifying my demand of a citation, because that was historically incorrect what he said.
Where's yours now? Because I posted one that defeats what you had said multiple times, actually.
Okay.
So you won't say that anymore, right?
For the nature, though.
You won't say that anymore.
Yeah, I mispronounced it. It's not the naturally occurring phenomenon. It's not something happening. You're right, but it is. I was meaning independent variable, a viable independent variable. An independent variable has to be occurring in nature. I basically
so is mass. So is volume.
I slipped up with how I phrased it. So I guess that gives you a giant win, right? I mean, semantics is, you can always win on semantics.
I mean, it's not about winning or losing.
Training everybody until they slip up, and then you can feel like you win. Congratulations, I slipped up.
No, it's good. We all have to admit when we mess up. I messed up on plasma. Atomic theory would be a better one. And just density and mass and volume can't exist with each other.
Yeah, the thing is actually created in a lab must be in the 1800 somethings in for example, Geissler tubes. They didn't know that time that it was plasma, but actually plasma was artificially
look, somebody actually in my chat actually found it. That's amazing.
As glow discharging of gases.
There was something that was apparently called, radiant matter. So there was actually an idea of radiant matter before plasma was actually discovered. So somebody arguing that plasma was theorized, it just wasn't called plasma.
Yep, it was a bad example. I agree 100%. But atomic theory is the better one. We theorized atoms before we could actually see them.
Helium, for example, is also a good example. Helium was postulated and measured before we could find it on Earth, because the band gap of helium was discovered in sun spectroscopy. That's why it's called helium, because it is basically the helios, the sun, and it was the sun gas that was discovered there. And many years later, it could be found here on Earth and kind of reproven or shown again on Earth.
Plus, I'm really proud of you, man. You took that L in stride. I've never seen that. That was good of you.
I'm waiting for the next video where I get destroyed again. I like that little series. Thanks for that, Jack. Go on.
Yeah. For sure. Demok, did you have anything to say on the matter? I didn't want to leave you out.
Right. So in a scientific experiment, the independent variable that you're going to vary and manipulate in order to prove the cause of the effect, the effect has to be a naturally occurring phenomenon. The independent variable has to be independent and occurring in nature. You have to find it in nature in order to use it within the scientific setup, right? And density it occurs in nature. You can find anything and everything has that density. Now, if you want to define or quantify it with numbers, you're going to have to calculate it into mass and volume. That's how it is quantified. But as a thing, it does occur in nature. Now, you can't find anything in nature that is just mass, though, because mass is a live calculated concept that does not naturally occur. You can only calculate it, and that's why it cannot be an independent variable within a scientific hypothesis.
Yep, so density can be an independent variable, but mass can't be. Is that your claim, Arwijn?
Correct.
I can use it right now.
That was my entire point, this entire discussion.
So density is not wait a second. Density is not an inherent property of a specific material. Density is an influenced. Density is a reaction of the material due to external influences.
Yep.
It is a property that is universally existent.
It's not. Yeah, it is a property, but that is not an inherent property of the material itself. So, for example, if you introduce pressure to a material, you increase the density without changing the material. So the material, for example, air or so, has specific densities under specific amount of pressure or temperatures.
That's a great point.
Yeah. So you're changing the density. Gases can pressurize, depressurize, and then the density changes because gases have density and it can change.
No, the density is a reaction. It's not the cause.
No, it isn't. It's a inherent property.
No, if you increase the pressure, the density increases. It's not like you increase the density, therefore pressure increased. It's a different way. Pressure is the cause, density is the effect. If you pull a vacuum, the density of the same material will reduce, but you are pulling the vacuum. So this is the cause, the reducing of pressure, so the density reduces.
Yeah, Arwijn, how do you
manipulating the density of the medium?
How do you manipulate density by itself? Go ahead.
Temperature.
No, manipulate density.
That's actually not true. If you
you can mix materials that can increase density, like putting salt or sugar in water.
So again, the independent variable,
combining materials, and now their combined density lead to a different density.
The density is still in effect.
Yeah,
if you have one volume and you have a gas inside there, and you increase, for example, the temperature, the pressure increases, but not the density increase or decrease. If the volume stays the same, the density stays the same. If you increase the volume, for example, by pulling on a piston, the density reduces. The density is always a reaction to external parameters.
So let me just ask this real quickly. The independent variable is density, according to Arwijn. Arwijn, how do you change density without changing anything else?
By exchanging the material.
Okay, so that's changing the mass.
Density
hold on a second. So that's changing the mass. You're changing the mass.
No,
so
you're not changing the mass.
You're adding more mass.
No, because mass is relative to the circumstances it's taking.
So change the density without changing anything else. How do you do it?
By exchanging the material.
That's mass.
Okay, Arwijn, the pure definition of the independent variable.
It's material. Mass is a derived calculated property.
Arwijn, the definition of an independent variable is that you can directly influence it. A dependent variable is a variable that changes when you change another property. So density is always a dependent variable because you cannot influence density directly without first changing any other parameters.
No, because those parameters are not part of it.
So if you, for example, change the volume as the independent variable, the dependent variable density changes with the changed volume. It's a secondary effect.
Ridiculous. Material has inherent density. You can change density by changing the pressure, changing the temperature, or mixing in materials, well, guess what? The stuff, the material you got there now has a different density, right? If you have an experiment, whether density causes something like vertical displacement, well, you have to then scoop it out, put something else in there, or otherwise change the density because you're focusing on the property of density. And you have to do something in order to establish that. It doesn't matter that it's caused by something else.
So you can't manipulate density by itself.
Of density. And
so you can't manipulate density by itself.
Nothing is anything by itself.
Fucking talking right through me, fucking asshole.
Hold on.
Yeah, you're fucking.
Hold on, Arwijn. Hold on, I got you. Water. What makes water hard when you hit it? The way you go into it. So now that water turned into concrete, depending on the belly flop you did or the dive.
Did it change the density?
Get real with your goofy words.
That's called surface tension. Yeah, you smash into water because it has surface tension. When you go at it very fast, density. That surface tension is quite dramatic. Makes an impact.
So you didn't manipulate density. That's great.
Yeah, you did. You can go in smooth and not get crushed or break your face or skin, or you can belly flop. So you can go in with your fingertips or your toe tips and release the pressure and all that force. Now, the way you hit with the amount of energy you put into it, you're going to get back. So any action or reaction that's imparted to another thing is going to put that same action or attribute off. Stop saying the word density. That's ignorant. You got resistance or not.
Okay, yeah, talk to Arwijn about density then, because he thinks. No,
I ain't got to talk to nobody. He's all got ears.
Actually establishing the cause of vertical displacement, though.
You can't manipulate density by
something
itself.
else. I mean, yeah, you can have some other.
No such thing as density by itself.
Things that you're testing in an experiment, sure.
I agree.
But if you're going to test the cause of vertical displacement and you use density, well, you're going to have very distinct results. Yeah. To scientific levels where you can prove that vertical displacement is indeed caused by density differential, and by changing the density of the medium or the object within a setup, within the experiment, you can drive it. You can make it go up, make it go down.
Yep, but not by just manipulating density.
Scientifically, that vertical displacement that we perceive in nature is caused by density. Yeah, change something else than density, like that you can ensure that the density relation, the differential, is not altered. Well, you'll notice there is no change in vertical displacement.
Hey, Arwijn, what do we do?
To the setup, I'm not done yet. If you do anything to the setup that does not alter the density in the process, you're not going to make it change the vertical displacement.
You can't change density by itself.
Yeah, because it's directly caused exclusively by density.
I forgot what the point was of this whole thing. What was it, Arwijn?
There wasn't a point because there's no density by itself. There's no cold by itself without hot. There's no high without low. What you're saying is nonsensical. Both of you are saying goofy shit.
Okay.
It's just a description. It's a description of surface tension, right? Or material like thickness or the amount in a volume. So like what does that even mean when you erupt that and form it to something else?
Snooze, are you still in this discussion? Because I missed part of it. I started to doze off, which is ironic.
Arwijn, I had a question for you. If you had a 1 kilogram steel cube and you compress it to change its density, does its mass change?
No.
Okay, that's all. We agree then. When you vary the density, the mass remains the same. So it sounds to me that the intrinsic property of something is its mass, not its density.
You're compressing it, right?
Well, so the same object.
You're changing the properties, and it's going to have a different density then. That doesn't mean
why did the mass stay the
amount is not, right? Yeah, it won't change because it's still the total amount. It's separate though.
So the mass remains the same even though you change the density.
Yeah.
So and you're claiming that density is the intrinsic property, not mass.
Yeah, because it actually exists in nature. Mass alone doesn't. Yeah, there's always going to be volume. There's no thing in nature that has
density alone also not.
And no volume. That was the entire argument that you're straw manning away from.
No, I just want to be clear that despite the fact that the mass always remains the same as you vary density, you're saying that the intrinsic property of the object is the density, not the mass.
So I'm saying that the density occurs in nature. Mass does not separately occur in nature.
Well, occur in nature is a really nebulous term.
No, it isn't. It's you find it out there. You can't find something that has mass that doesn't have volume. You can't find anything that doesn't have volume. There's nothing that has no volume.
I'm going to repeat. I don't want to talk about nature. I want to talk about intrinsic property. which
okay,
is
well, that has nothing to do, though, with whether something is viable in an experiment. So you can talk about that, but it doesn't pertain to science.
Well, the thing is, you cannot find volume that has no mass, and you cannot find mass measurable, at least, that has no measurable volume. But both can be changed. So we can just change the volume itself.
Yeah, you can change things, sure. But you won't be able to find mass in nature without volume. So it's not a naturally...
I know, mass and volume are direct properties. Mass and volume are direct properties. But you can change the volume directly without changing anything else. And you will have a reduced density, because the density is defined as mass per volume. So density is a derived property, while mass is a property of a material itself, and volume is a material of the kind of space of the room where that matter happens.
Yeah, but mass is circumstantial, though, because if you're gonna weigh something in water, it's not gonna give you the same weight. And weight is
wait a second.
I'm not done yet. Weight is intricately tied into mass. That's officially recognized. Well, weight is relative due to what you're weighing it on, right? Weight is pressure that's supposedly caused by the mass. And yeah, the quantity stays the same, but you put it in something else, you change the medium, you change the density of the medium. Now, suddenly, that pressure is going to be different. So it's going to have a different readout. The same amount is going to have a different readout because the medium is different. Yeah, that's why there's a distinction between water weight, vacuum weight, and air weight, which we know generally as weight. Yeah, because
so weight is again something totally different, and something in water weighs still the same. The buoyancy of the water.
No, it doesn't. You put it on a scale and it registers a different weight.
No, the weight.
Yes, it does. That's why it's called water weight. It's an official term. Water weight is an official term.
Shut up when I'm talking. I also let you talk.
Shut the fuck up, mute.
Yeah, then this show is lame. So the density, the weight of an object is always the same. It's the acceleration
mass
times the mass.
Not an inherent property. It's relative to the medium situation setup.
No, it's not.
Density occurs
1 kilogram of 1 kilogram.
Everything has a density. There's nothing out there that has a mass that doesn't have a volume, or a volume that doesn't have a mass, because those two things are conceptually and mathematically derived. They exist only as part of each other when you try to define, the density. Yeah, but density, everything has a density. Everything that is palpable, that is material, has a density. But there's no material that has only volume or only mass. That's why it's a derived concept, and it's not viable as an independent variable within a scientific setup.
Yeah, I wouldn't agree with that. Because, for example, you can measure the mass of an electron.
So
you can measure the mass of an electron, but you cannot measure the volume of an electron.
Over 3 hours, and it's dark out here.
Can you also shut up when I'm talking, Arwijn?
Or I appreciate the conversation, even with a bunch of baltards. I don't care. It's good to go through it again and just know what I'm talking about. So,
Arwijn, you can complain being interrupted, but when someone else is talking,
I'm rounding out,
I was talking, Arwijn, and you were interrupting. So can you once also open your ears and close your mouth?
Just round out my show.
And then you can respond to what I said.
I'll probably pop back in after that. But my show is
go run away.
Now. So
run away
on the EA panel for partaking in that discussion. And
Arwijn is the citation.
Shut the fuck
up. Run away, Arwijn.
See you later.
When you are the citation, what else needs to be said?
It's just my tolerance just has limits. Can't believe it lasted that long. All right, so I'm gonna round out the show. Hope you guys appreciate it. Sorry about the swearing. Just couldn't tolerate it. I could have just dropped. But I just wanted to round out and reiterate the point, what it was all about, why I spent all this time. And that got through, so it's good.